This offseason had nonstop speculation, rumors, player movement unlike ever before, and some of the biggest names in the sport switching sponsors. What it was missing is a Disc Golf World full breakdown and rankings for every manufacturer on their offseason moves. It's Swiss Cheese with the Disc Golf World, and with me always is my nephew Jefferson, and this is the Disc Golf World. The player offseason market played out unlike the previous COVID boom years, resulting in a Disc Golf World market with differing brand approaches. Some tightened their belts and squads, others expanded, and some were even bold enough to make a huge splash. Either way, let's rank and break down every manufacturer move this past offseason, starting worst to first.
I think it's pretty safe to say Dynamic Discs lost the offseason. They extended captain Zach Melton, but lost future talent Gavin Rathbun from injury. But the biggest offseason move was giving Macy Valadiaz the finger, resulting in Dynamic dropping her from the team. So much for a family, right? I know they have Ricky Wysocki still, but you have to scroll all the way down the rankings to find a teammate of his. I don't know how anyone can see this as a remotely successful offseason, and in my eyes, by far the worst out of all the other companies.
Let's be real. The poor PR look of Dynamic luring a pregnant Valadiaz sponsorship offer was the only thing saving Prodigy from being on the bottom of this list for yet another offseason. They yet again are unable to retain and re-sign their premier player on their roster, this time losing young phenom talent Gannon Buhr, who despite his age already has a USDGC major victory under his belt. After a horrendous awkward lawsuit drama early last season, many assumed Gannon's departure was evident, so it softened the impact when it became official. At Isaac Robinson's heroics, it has some feeling Prodigy isn't in terrible shape. Yet losing a top 3 talent who is still in their teens after being with you for 7 years is truly a big blow to the brand. Now add on top of that another top 15 talent loss in Alden Harris and DDO winner Parker Welk, things are looking bleak. Extending Ezra Robinson was a start in the right direction, finished higher in points than Alden, had a victory last year, and also had a very strong back half. Him being the older brother to Isaac might assist in an extension there also, meaning Prodigy just might be able to retain an upcoming free agent for the first time in some years. Aiden Scott is a sneaky decent signing also, has yet to tour full-time, and has popped off for top 25s and a top 10 at elite events already. Yet fans shouldn't ignore Prodigy's FPO roster, despite Prodigy completely doing so. Losing Lucky Lorenzen this season was all that was remaining of their pro FPO roster. There was a number of available FPO talent to be had this offseason, including Ellie Ezra and Haley, yet no action from their brand. Instead, the brand is obviously circling their wagons around the Robinson brothers moving forward.
Latitude 64 started their offseason by cutting some of the only players well known to the community, such as Tristan Tanner, Connor O'Reilly, and Jake Hubenheimer. Although it seems their strategy is going all in on the European side, which isn't the worst move since that's where they're located. Plus, with dgpt Europe giving the same amount of points as events in the States, this is a good opportunity. Some notable names they extended is Lori Lightnin, which Swiss will tell you to remember that name. Personally, I'm more a Jakub Semerad fan. Just make sure to write it down. It helps pronounce their names out. It helps, I promise. Although Latitude is chilling with the FPO side, locking in Kristen Tatar for a bit longer, but extending Tati, who is continuing to travel alongside with Tatar and playing along some of the best in the game, I could see big improvements, especially in Europe. But she's got to tell Kristen to stay home for those. Here's the list of all the other European players Latitude extended. This seems to be the first company going all in on the European scene, which could be seen as a big move, but then you remember they're owned by House of Discs, which makes me think this will just be the Euro squad. That being said, the risk is minimal with the billions they have, so I get it.
There might not have been a brand to play the market better than what Infinite was able to accomplish this offseason, and they are not getting enough respect for it. It was evident that many sponsors were lowering player sponsorships amounts and their total squad numbers. This opened the door for Infinite to extend their roster further and have more pros throw open bags, signing Chandler Fry, Lucky Lorenzen, and DGPT's most improved player Allie Smith, while still extending Grady Shue and Jomez host Erica Stitchcomb. Lucky and Allie are big signings for Infinite as both can improve, push to be top 15 talents this upcoming season, and could find similar success for Infinite like the James Proctor signing did last season. Either way, the brand's clever manipulation of the disc golf market needs to have them above other brands.
Castablast has been making moves the past couple of years, and I know it's because of House of Dicks, but let me be happy for once. Extending Joey Buckets and giving him a Signature Series disc was a great move in my opinion. If he can get his hands on more stable discs, I wouldn't be surprised seeing his name somewhere big one day. All I know is he'll be rocking one dope bucket hat, which is way more important. Casta also extended Stacey Ronsley to the team, who's coming off her best season and will be looking to keep it going. Also adding Jesse Nyman into the squad this offseason. He's played well over in Europe, and in the 2024 season, he'll be coming over to play longer tour in the States. He did place 45th at USDGC and had a European Pro Tour win last season. You gotta give credit to Castaplas. They didn't lose anyone, and they keep adding talent to the team. Sure, it might not pay off, but that's not what this ranking is all about. Their potential is higher than people that think putting with Bergs is a good idea.
ThoughtSpace Athletics simply copied the same formula as Infinite, signing all the same free agent players to represent their brand also. But most importantly, extended James Proctor after his solid past season, where he found himself on 2 Elite Series podiums and had a number of top 10 finishes on the tour, finishing 11th in total points despite an extended European tour, unlike other pros.
Thank Disc Golf Jesus that I don't have to name all the Ranger team members or we'd be here for a while. Starting with keeping AJ and Deanne Carey, which have slowly become staples of the brand. Then adding young up-and-comer Carter Aaron to the team, which was a solid move. He's super young, so I bet he was cheap, and his ceiling is pretty unknown. But when he already proves to be able to put up hot rounds on tour, I'd be scared. Then to add a past winner on tour in Connor O'Reilly was another good move. He hasn't had the season he's wanted, but again, the potential is there. And their last addition was a sneaky one, that being Jake Hubenheimer. Don't let the horseshoe putt distract you. He can smash some frisbees. Extending 2022 Rookie of the Year Robert Burridge, who I believe to be the face of Lone Star, but keeps saying it's Nico. Last year was his first full year touring, and from the past, I don't put too much attention into that because it's a complete shift of life. With that experience now under his belt, we'll see how year 2 in the van goes. If anything, I'm worried about his separation anxiety from Chandler Kramer, who Lone Star didn't re-sign. Not sure why you'd want to break up that bromance on tour and ruin all that marketing ability, but I guess we'll have to wait for the auto campaign to finally roll out. I mean, they already try and sell a damn dog bowl as a disc.
Following last year's offseason, many in the community herald Discraft player roster as possibly the greatest of all time. And though injuries resulted in a less impactful season, Discraft still looked to build their roster even further. First by extending 9 of their previous squad this offseason, including Aaron Gossage, Missy Gannon, Holland Hanley, Valerie Mandahanu, Paige Pierce, Andrew Presnell, Ben Calloway, Andrew Fish, and Paige Shue. That's 2 top 5 FPO talents, a top 15 MPO talent, 3 more top 25 MPO players, Valerie and Paige coming off of injuries. Discraft didn't stop there, however, signing 2 top 25 players this offseason in Chris Clemens and Hannah Wynn, with their only notable loss being Chandler Fry. The only critique might not be them attracting a European talent to their squad. It is still difficult to say that they did not improve this offseason despite that. Discraft on both the FPO and MPO side are primed this upcoming season with Hall of Fame talent looking to send a message, primed young players on the verge of a breakout season, and solid, consistent pros.
I find it really strange that people are discrediting Innova for their offseason. Sure, they aren't making a big deal out of anything, but that's because they're stuck in their ways. They released all their moves on January 1st like they do every single year. No hype, no media, nothing. That's just how they roll. So when people were freaking out about Emerson Keith joining and how Innova leaked the information, no, that was their announcement, and it shouldn't have been a surprise, especially when he's not on the main squad, which also should show something. A winner on tour isn't even on the A squad, but yeah, Innova did a horrible job. They extended 2022 Rookie of the Year Emily Beach, extended 2022 USWDGC and multiple tour winner, including 2 just last season, Haley King, the 5-time world champion Juliana Korver, and then Holly Finley and Jessica Weiss were also extended. And in my opinion, with what they already have, securing the best overall FPO squad. Over on the MPO side, there were also a few extensions. The first one being former DGPT Championship winner Nathan Queen, 2022 Preserve Championship winner Bradley Williams, who also happens to be 10th in UDisc's world rankings. But I guess we aren't going to use those anymore. I don't know how that's going to be handled. And then, of course, adding reigning OTB winner Emerson Keith. On paper, I think this offseason was pretty solid when you have Calvin Heimberg locked in through 2027. What else is there to do? I can't fault Innova for following their plans, even if you disagree with it. I think we've seen their focus on having one big talent and they're going all in on. And I say that loosely because I really don't know what the Innova is doing on marketing side, besides getting as much of Dave Dunapace's bucket hat collection featured. It doesn't make sense to have lots of top tier talent, especially when Innova only has a few discs that fly off the shelves. Why flood the market with Signature Series discs that will water down the market, or worse, won't sell for players? I'd rather see a Calvin signature on a Destroyer than 50 different Tour Series ones, especially when that's where a large portion of players' money's coming from. I like the idea of a smaller team that is getting compensated appropriately. Now, I don't know what people are getting paid, but I can only assume someone like Nathan Queen is getting paid well if he doesn't have to compete against a stacked team. For example, Discraft has to be competitive with Aaron Gossage, Anthony Barella, Ezra Aderhold, Brody Smith, and those are all players without wins. Like I said, Innova has a strategy, and I'm not going to knock them for following it.
Many have slept on Westside's offseason in large part because they were one of the first to announce their signings and really weren't part of the many speculation on any of the offseason targets. Instead, locking in the two players already on their roster in Matty O and Sia Anand. Both came to Westside in need, and the brand was able to provide both the funds to tour unlike they had in their entire pro career. Both responded by handing big victories for Westside this past season. Matty O took down the MVP Open, and Sia locked up a victory over Tatar even at the Texas States. Westside responded by locking in a fan favorite Matty O to a 4-year deal and gave Sia a 2-year deal on top of that, locking in the small manufacturer's pro roster for a couple of years. Yes, they lost a top 25 player in Hannah. However, Sia and Matty O might represent their brands better than any pro to their current sponsor, and locking them in for multiple years will help the brand in further exposure, hoping to gain in the market. Also a perfect size roster for the small brand.
DGA came out of nowhere, it seemed like, with a bunch of late signings that made a mid-level team become Discraft's B team. They added DDO champion Parker Welk, who's already getting some dubs this offseason. I guess better plastic does make a difference. Same goes for Tristan Tanner, who got his second MPO win with DGA discs not too long ago. Might as well keep it going because up-and-coming FPO player Eliezra Midling is crushing the competition. Make sure to keep an eye out for her. Not only does she smash, but her putt looks nice too. The last thing she needs for a complete game is experience, and still being a teenager, that will just come with time. They weren't done either, adding Jake Mon, Evan Scott, and Sullivan Tipton all to 1-year deals. How can anyone not see this as the feeder team for Discraft? Someone pops off, they go to the main squad. Just wait for Cole's deal, and you'll see. But for the 2024 season, I'm excited for what this team can do. DJ also took the opportunity to help out Macy Valadiaz after the whole dynamic debacle.
After losing Simon the prior offseason and an entire season without an Eagle extension announcement, it had many questioning what exactly was happening behind the scenes over at Discmania. Just how much House of Disc were truly involved. Announcing teams and extensions with player Gavin Babcock while Eagle remained off didn't help either. Eagle McMahon making his departure official this January shifted the manufacturer dynamics of the sports for years to come. It was safe to say that Gannon became the brand's top priority this offseason after rumored to nearly locking him in the prior offseason. Replacing Eagle with an even younger, premium player while maintaining your brand optics, marketing, and brand exposure, the game's best young talents in the sport, by adding Gannon to an already signed Kyle Klein, is impressive. Gannon's multi-year deal announcement comes up the same year as Kyle, shows the brand's intentions of being tied to these players now and beyond. Getting a top 10-15 player on top of that, who is one of the most active social media players on tour in Alden Harris, helps that hole that remained after Simon and Eagle's social media presence also. Certainly, these two alone would not make up for the loss of Eagle. Yet adding Nicholas Antala to multi-year deal and a promotion just might give them a slight edge. Antala helps with the European market that might have been the largest loss that Simon and Eagle's departure caused. Antala can choose to dominate the extended European tour this year if he chooses to, and still be competitive here in the States. Having him already established in that market while still promoting Gannon and Kyle could pay off in the near future for Discmania.
Without a doubt in our eyes, MVP won this offseason. It might not have been the biggest surprise at the end of the day, but picking up Eagle was huge. Anybody that said they saw this coming at the beginning of winter is lying. Even Brad and Chad didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. Not only did they add a top 3 disc golfer in the world, and he ain't 3, they also picked up both 2023 PDGA Rookie of the Years in Paul Kranz and Silver Saarinen, without having to lose anything. Oh yeah, and they extended Sarah Hokum. With these additions to their team already, in a few years MVP became a powerhouse in professional disc golf, and the potential is insane. But of course, that's all in theory, and we'll have to see how it plays out in just a couple more weeks. Now you're all caught up with every disc golf offseason move. Let us know how you would rank each manufacturer in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It's the easiest way to support the disc golf world. Oh, and if you want to hear the hot takes Simon's been dropping recently, check out the video right here.